Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Speedify Live Office Hours. This is your chance to ask us questions about Speedify. And today we have a very special episode planned. Makes it special is that we have nothing planned. So it's on you guys to ask us what you want to know about Speedify because we're here for you. So give us a follow. Also, tell us who you're watching these days. We're really interested in that. Also, have you seen anything really cool in technology? Anything new? And I don't mean Chat GPT. That's all anyone talks about anymore. Chat GPT. So what's new and cool out there? Let us know. Don't forget, follow us. And if you're watching on YouTube, you got to click the bell so it brings up the thing and let it notify you, because otherwise you subscribe and it doesn't tell you when we're live. So cool. All right. This is Kevin,
Hello.
the lead developer on Speedify, and we're very excited to be here in person. All right. And we have our first question from Yvonne. Hi, question number 1. What happened to Germany Dusseldorf 1 server? I don't know. We are constantly adding and removing servers. You probably really shouldn't get tied to a particular one unless you want a dedicated server, right? We do set up dedicated servers for users that are just for them. Otherwise, servers come and go. Companies, if they do a bad job, we drop them. If somebody else does an even better job, sometimes we move to the better company. So yeah, things just yeah. They're, I think we have thousands of servers at this point, and we have a whole team dedicated to yeah, keeping the cluster up. All right. Does Speedify work with a broadband LAN, local area network, and Starlink Wi-Fi together into one connection?
Yes. Yes, it does. We do that. We have our Speedify Labs channel where we're testing that type of scenario all the time, and we're not actually doing it today. We've done it on other live streams. We've done it in the past where we have a Starlink Wi-Fi on our Comcast cable. We don't have it set up right now, but yeah, we do that all the time, and yeah, that works. So yeah, you can mess with the priority depending how good your Starlink is. You can mess with the priorities. If your broadband is very reliable, you can probably leave that as a primary and have your Starlink as secondary, so that it fails over to that. If something goes wrong with your broadband, or your broadband's too slow, particularly if the upload's slow on your broadband, it can combine that with the Starlink and get extra speed there. So yeah, kind of depending on the conditions of your connections, you can alter the priorities there and get the setup that you want.
Ah, yes. I released that server gives me a good ping in Iran. Suddenly, in the last week, removed from the list. Yeah, try other servers. Yeah. Also, servers getting bad reputations is another thing. Since we don't monitor what you guys do, servers, and we really don't. Um, sometimes stuff happens to servers, so we just move on to other ones.
Yeah, but yeah, we usually have multiple servers per, especially in like popular places like Germany. It's usually multiple servers per hosting provider. So yeah, if you look around at some of the other servers, I bet you find other servers with the same hosting provider that should give you a good ping as well. So try some of the other Germany servers.
All right, Video to Go Live says I had some real problems getting a stable link with Speedify. I had like 4 LTE connections, each 30/15. And they were going from 6 to 15, but having 4 of them should be capable to stream 10 megabits.
It should be, but I mean, it depends on the 4G connections you have. Are they from different carriers? Are they conflicting with each other at all? If you have 4 connections from the same carrier, then you end up maybe competing for the same signal from the tower, and they can actually end up slowing each other down because they're competing with each other. You might not get additional speed there. But yeah, if you have separate 4G connections from different carriers, you can usually combine them and get additional speed. Obviously, depending on your signal strength and stuff like that. But if you're getting 30 and 15 out of them, that should be capable of doing a 10 megabit stream.
Yeah.
So I guess
getting them separated a little bit, even 18 inches, can make a difference. That's enough to kill near field interference. Stuff from ancient past that I used in a previous company. When radios get really, really close to each other, they start interfering in weird ways sometimes. So even a foot makes that stuff disappear. Yeah, so you didn't get logs at the time. Other things that have gone wrong. Some people who say they're using 4 LTE connections turn out to have 4 LTE connections hung off one Raspberry Pi. And sometimes the Raspberry Pi does not have enough power to supply all of them. Nothing you're saying is making me think you're doing that, but other people who said similar things, that's turned out to be their answer.
Yeah. So yeah, I would start with less connections, start with 2 and see how that does for you, and then increase, but yeah, experiment a little bit with less connections, and more isn't always better. Sometimes you get a better thing just combining 2 of them.
Different carriers.
Yeah.
All right. If you connected 31 Starlink dishes with Speedify, would the connection be more stable? So obviously 31, you're going to have 31 connecting to like the same 1 or 2 satellites, and you're just going to max it out. You're not going to get anything like 31 times the speed. I think a more interesting question is, does using 2 Starlinks in the same area, how much does that speed you up?
Yeah, if you can get them pointed at different satellites, I don't know how you can control that, but I think there's ways to get them pointed at different satellites then potentially you can have two different paths and actually get some additional speed or reliability benefit if one satellite's dropping out, the other.
And how much are you actually rate limited, right?
Yeah.
Like if Starlink, we don't really know how much Starlink is when it's slow. Is it because it's impossible to get that much in the area you're in, or is it that Starlink is divvying up how much bandwidth it has between its users? And we can't really tell from here. We have a Starlink, so we do lots of experiments with it, but we have not been doing experiments with 4 Starlinks. We only have one. So I don't know. I'd be interested in the results if someone wanted to play with 2 Starlinks at the same time. Tell us how it works.
But yeah, 31's definitely excessive and probably not beneficial at all.
2 might do an interesting thing.
Yeah.
31 will be bad. All right. Loslo says, my broadband is reliable, but only 1 to 3 megabits. Doesn't sound like broadband. Which is why I had to get Starlink. Starlink is 200 to 400 megabits, but unreliable. So I want to use Speedify so I can rely on the LAN to stop me from disconnecting when Starlink drops for 20 seconds. That's the setup we're using in the office these days. We have like 1.5 megabit Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi, I think. Maybe it's Ethernet. Basically, we're simulating a DSL, and then we have the Starlink. And it's fantastic because, when Starlink is working, for us, the top speeds we see is 200 megabits down, 40 up. But most times it isn't that fast. But most times it's somewhere, half that. But sometimes it just drops to 0. And when it drops to 0, 1.5 megabits is enough that you're still online. And if the Starlink drops to 1 megabit, then you're still at 2.5 megabits, which isn't fast, but you didn't just hang up on your boss, right? The stream didn't just end. You got blocky, maybe you're just audio now, but it is a world of difference. So in that case, would you recommend putting
I'd say
broadband to secondary?
Yeah, I think probably put the Starlink as your primary and the broadband as your secondary. I'll switch over to the broadband if something slows down or drops out with the Starlink. So I think in that case, that's probably what you want to try.
Oh, video to go live. Raspberry Pi LAN, Smart Switch VLANs.
All right, so that shouldn't be an issue with power then if you're using the VLANs and everything's off on a switch.
So this is a setup we're talking about, right? We've had a number of Linux users who have ended out really happy with their setup.
Yeah.
Because they got an Ethernet smart, managed switch, set up VLANs, and then we're able to put in a lot of different Ethernet internet connections, which are combined on the switch, tagged, and come into their computer on one Ethernet cable, but it's virtually multiple internet connections.
Right.
Can you talk about that, or did I just explain the whole thing?
I think you explained most of it. Yeah. So Speedify recognizes all these virtual interfaces as a different internet connection, but it's really sending it over one physical Ethernet interface, and then the switch manages getting them to the right internet connection. And so, you can bond. That's one of the ways. We get the question a lot. Yeah, can I bond multiple gateways or multiple internet connections out on one LAN? And for the most times, that's not what we do. We need a separate interface for each one. But in this case, if you can set up a virtual LAN with these VLANs and have a switch that tags stuff, that's one way of doing it, where you can use multiple internet connections over the same physical interface.
So I really hear Linux users doing this all the
Right.
time. Does it work with Windows? Does it work with Mac?
I have no idea. Maybe there's some way with extra software or something. I don't know I'm not very familiar with the Windows stuff. I haven't heard of anybody doing it. So I've only really heard of Linux people doing it. Maybe there's some way to do VLANs on Windows or with some Windows Server build, but I'm not really familiar with it. And it might be a pain to get working. But I don't know.
I think Windows 11 supports it now. Back with a number of years ago, I tried it on Windows, and you had to install this optional software from Intel, and it just didn't work. I think with Windows 11 they announced it's built in, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay, so
And Mac, I don't have any idea either. guess maybe there's some way to do it, but I'm not really sure.
All right. I tried Starlink and my broadband together and only got 10 megabits from them on Speedify, but 200 megabits when disconnected from Speedify. Do you know why that may
So what do you get with Speedify and just the Starlink, without trying to combine them?
be? Yes,
Yeah,
that's
is
the
that
first question.
yeah, is Speedify really just slowing down your Starlink? Because your broadband's only 3 to 5 megabits, you said. So yeah, it would be interesting. What's your Starlink doing with Speedify?
I wonder if the Starlink is showing enough jitter and stuff that Speedify is deciding to trust the broadband more.
It's possible. Yeah. So yeah, what priorities did you have them both set as primary for that? And if you set
That would be the default. If you
yeah,
didn't play with it, they would both
yeah,
appreciate
yeah. So if
default.
you So if you put Starlink as primary and the broadband as secondary, I would try that. It should prefer using the Starlink speed more and only kick over to the broadband if things are really getting crappy with the Starlink.
Is there a new version for this version? Um, we
The
haven't done a new release for
couple months.
it's turned into a couple months. Sorry. There's a major new release coming. I've been pushing, trying to get it submitted to Apple at the end of this week, but there are enough changes. I can't control Apple. So we'll see. We're getting close. There'll be a huge release in August. It's gonna be awesome, right? Hello,
Hey,
from
Steven.
Ghana.
Welcome.
Are you still RTMP friendly than SRT? Have you tested SRT protocol?
I've heard of some of our users using SRT, and I think they were fine with it, but I haven't done extensive testing myself with it.
Who does SRT?
Yeah, we did a little bit, but I haven't done.
But I
crazy
personally
with it.
have been.
Yeah.
I have in fact been using RTMP. I think we're using RTMP right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is coming to you over RTMP and Speedify.
Um,
So
But yeah, I don't know any reasons why SRT wouldn't work. I mean, we're not doing any special optimizations for it or anything, but it should work fine with all our normal things that we do for all sorts of traffic. Okay.
all right. Divin. Have you any plan for gamers? I know your servers is enough stable for gamers, at least for me in Iran. But any other special plans you have for gamers?
Nothing at the
I
moment.
don't think there's anything.
Yeah,
at
I
the
don't think we have any
moment.
special features or anything that we're planning for that.
I mean, we've got a lot more stuff to make internet faster and more reliable, which will benefit gamers. I don't, no. Just Starlink on Speedify. I only get around 10 to 20 megabits. Also, Starlink is primary.
All right. So yeah, I'm curious where you're located and what Speedify server you're connecting to. Um, yeah, maybe you want to. Yeah, if this starts getting more complicated, maybe you want to contact us at support@speedify.com and send us some details. You can send us logs after you run some speed tests and let us know where you're located, what you're connecting to, what you're seeing with and without Speedify with Starlink. Um, might be something to get tweaked there.
All right, Cindy asks, is there a setting that I need to change to use the internet connection on my phone as well as my regular internet? I cannot find settings and Speedify is not picking up automatically.
So I'm assuming you mean on your computer. You have your computer using your regular internet connection you want to use from your phone. So you would need to connect your phone to your computer in some way. So one option is you can tether it, USB tethering it, and then you don't have to worry about, you know, assuming you're using Wi-Fi on your computer to connect to your normal connection, you don't have to worry about getting a second Wi-Fi connection to connect to the hotspot on your phone. But if you're connecting to Ethernet for your normal internet connection on your computer, you can connect the Wi-Fi to a Wi-Fi hotspot on your phone. That's one way to do it. Or you can plug in your phone with a USB cable and do USB tethering. Are two options. But coming soon, we have
I don't want
a
to Osborne us,
easier,
but
yeah.
we're working on it. We're working on making this so smooth and magical that you don't.
It'll pick it up automatically for you.
right. Good morning, Speedifiers. Good morning, Roy.
Morning.
All right. In Great Britain. Yeah. They'll contact us. All right. Oh, look at this. Speedify has been a life changer for me. I've used it since 2021. Really made a difference. Good.
That's great to hear.
Fix the sign-in bug.
Can you give us more details? What,
Give us
we're
more
not,
details.
Yeah, we're not
What
aware of
sign-in
any
bug?
sign-in bugs.
So, question, guys. If you could sign into Speedify with like your Gmail or your Facebook, would that make it more convenient for you? You know, get rid of the having to remember a Speedify password for those of you who purchased. Uh, would you like that? Positive, negative? Or is there some other account you'd like to sign in with? GitHub account, I don't know. Your Twitter account. I'm sorry, X account. I think that's not going to work anymore. Yeah. So I had a bunch of neat scripts and stuff I had written that alerted me anytime anyone was talking about Speedify on Twitter, and they all just broke. They want $100 a month from me to keep them working. Just don't care that much. So anyway. Yeah, it'd be cool to consolidate the accounts. No, if you don't have a password manager, good luck at trying to configure Speedify. I certainly believe in password managers. I don't know hardly any of my passwords anymore. One password, every password is just a giant random string. Voila, you can't take over all my accounts because the worst, you cannot use the same password on multiple services anymore. One of them gets cracked and suddenly they annul your account so fast you don't even know it, right? I prefer Speedify password. If I were to use an alternative to log in, it would be Gmail, Google. Does Speedify work well with Google Fi? Google Fi seems to use its own VPN and switches between Wi-Fi and cellular. Last I checked, yes. I don't know that we've been testing with it recently. Yeah, they do have their own VPN.
Yeah, they're doing their own management. I forget exactly how.
I think there's an option to turn it off in the like they default to every time you join unencrypted password that their VPN connects, and I think you can just turn that off if you're using Speedify. We try to be good, if the user connects another VPN, then Speedify backs off until you disconnect it and it tries to get connected again. Try not to fight with other VPNs because you connect another VPN, you probably have a good reason for it. Perhaps work requires it or something. That's fine. Every time I open my app in my phone, it's going to sign in and it takes like a minute.
Yeah, I guess send logs to support@speedify.com. Let us know where you're located as well. I don't know, you might be in a country where we're fighting against blocks or something. I think we're constantly rolling out different changes and stuff to try and get around that stuff. Maybe that's what you're hitting.
To use Speedify with Google Fi, then should I disable the VPN? Say one VPN or the other. You could just try it and see if there's a problem. But certainly, if you have Speedify, I don't know why you would need the Google Fi VPN, right? So they've got a bundle of services, right? They give you cheap cellular.
They switch between.
Yeah, they used to switch between Sprint and T-Mobile based on which one was cheaper. But now that's one company. I don't know if it's actually doing any switching anymore. If it's just T-Mobile by a different name. How much did that neon light behind you cost, and where did you get it? We've covered that before. Marlene, get us an answer.
Yeah. Somebody might be able
I
to
know you're watching, and I know you can ask Scott or whatever. It was surprisingly inexpensive. Yeah, it was custom made for us. Of course, these days it's not really neon; it's LEDs, and it's real. It's right here. That is not green screened in or whatever. I guess you can see from the reflections on my face. Shoot. Yeah. So we'll get somebody to comment in the comments about who we got it from. They did a really nice job. We're really happy. I don't remember if it was $100 or $200. It was something surprisingly not outrageous.
sketch and etch.
Sketch and etch. Okay. Oh, yeah, there you go. Sketch and etch. Neon signs, handmade to order. Yeah. Yeah. We're happy customers. It's the only one we got from them, but it works great. All right. Is there a way to use Speedify without it using the VPN service, or is that a vital functionality for the two connections combined?
Yeah, that's a vital functionality. In order to do the bonding that we're doing, we need an intermediate server to combine stuff into a consistent IP address for talking to things on the internet. So we can send packet by packet. We can send some packets on one internet connection, some on the other, and the server puts that stuff back together, or in the download direction, the opposite. The server splits it out and sends it to the client, puts everything back together. But it appears as one virtual internet connection for you. If we just started sending some packets over one internet connection, some over the other, and they arrive with different IP addresses at the servers on the internet, the servers of the internet don't know what to do with that. They get confused. So we need the intermediate server. You can turn off the encryption if you want, although to be honest, there's not really, with modern devices, there's not that much cost to having the encryption on, and there's a little bit of overhead. But yeah, if you don't want the encryption, you can do that, but you have to go through an actual server with your traffic to do the bonding.
All right. I think we're reaching the end of questions. People chatting about sketch and etch. All right. Well, we are at 10:30. This is the end of another successful session. Yeah, in Iran we can't connect Speedify. It is a game of cat and mouse, and yeah, and the carriers in Iran are clearly cooperating with the government to try to block things. All right, I discovered a setting called Allow Cellular Data Switching when using an eSIM, a regular SIM. Is it beneficial to leave this on? Probably. So with the SIM and the regular SIM, you've got two sort of sessions going with two carriers, but it all comes together to one actual LTE radio. So even when it looks like you're on two, right? You're connected to both, and you're getting texts from both. What it's actually doing is time slicing. There's the one that you picked, or the software picked, as the main connection, and what's happening is your phone is spending 95% of the time on that cellular network, and 5% of the time, it pops over to the other network for tens of milliseconds in order to ask, are there any texts for me? And if so, it grabs them and then it presents it to you. So you're able to sort of receive things because every second it's literally hopping on for 50 milliseconds. But it's not speeding up your internet. And so, of course, I think when you allow the cellular data switching, I think it's much more casual if one of them is working badly, of switching which one is the primary, if I understand that setting correctly.
I think so. Yeah, which one you're getting your main data from? Yeah, the data connection. Yeah.
So it probably gives you more consistent, better connections, because if the one you're on stinks, I think it'll switch to the other one, but it won't do anything that magical.
Yeah. But I mean, Speedify should adapt. So I mean, if your phone switches to one or the other, Speedify will get notified, and it'll adapt and make a new connection over that new one if it switches to the other carrier, and use that connection. So Speedify should be able to seamlessly handle switching around between the different ones when your phone switches, and kind of keep a consistent session for you.
Some session, guys. Thank you. Oh, nice. You all fixed the typo on your Streamergency counter. Yeah. Last week we had a typo in this graphic right here. And thanks, guys, for pointing it out. It's fixed now. I don't know. It was like streamer emergency. Extra letter or two.
Steam urgency.
Oh, I was missing an R. Steam urgency. All right. That was awesome. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody who asked questions. Kevin, I know you are super busy, unlike me. I'm glad you were able to join. Make me look good. And, thank you, everybody who just listened in. If you haven't tried Speedify, speedify.com. Go get it. I'll give you 2 gigs a month for free. And after that, you can buy. So you can try it out. See how awesome it is. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
See you all online.